Bears just made a signing. They have signed free agent defensive lineman Rasheem Green. Now, this is a guy who's played three different positions and a lot on special teams. We're going to break it down, talk about the signing and more right after this.
Now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans, the Chicago Bears have signed a 5-year NFL veteran, 17 career sacks, and that is Rasheem Green, who played last year with the Seahawks. He played 50% of the team's defensive snaps. He played 67 of the snaps last season for the Seahawks, and he played between 10 and 18% of the special teams snaps between 2019 and 2012. This is another solid depth signing for the Chicago Bears. He joins DeMarcus Walker and Andrew Billings as signings to that defensive line. This is a guy who's played defensive end primarily. He's also played tackle and he's played outside linebacker as well. So a really good versatile depth piece that the Chicago Bears are adding in Green. He's also a guy who's still fairly young, right? And we talked about it before in many other live streams that what he does add, and Ryan Poles does add, is he likes to go after players that have been in the NFL for a little while, has enough of a sample size, but is still maybe young enough to be able to increase their role if needed. This guy's only 25 years old. He was a former third-round pick by Seattle. So he's a solid player. He comes in, he's going to be able to add a lot of let me not say a lot of what we need, but some solid depth to that defensive line that we've needed. He played 4 seasons in Seattle, played last year with the Houston Texans. He played in 16 games for them, had 42 total tackles, 27 solo, 15 assisted, and 3.5 sacks last season. Now in 2021, he had 6.5 sacks, playing all 17 games for the Seattle Seahawks in that. So again, solid depth piece. That's really just what this is for the Chicago Bears. It's not anyone that you're necessarily looking at to come in, be a huge role, but as a depth piece and as someone who did not play every single snap for the team and was still able to have 3.5 and 6.5 sacks in the last 2 seasons respectively, he comes in, he's going to be able to give the Bears something, and the Bears continue to add depth to that defensive end. We've added a lot of big bodies on that defensive side of the ball. So look for the Bears to probably go speed on that if they do add another defensive end in the draft. So whoever you have on your draft board that has the most speed, that's probably who you're going to want to focus on. The Bears probably bringing in, but again, solid depth piece, solid backup. Is going to come in, be able to play multiple roles. We know Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus both love that. Players who can come in, give multiple roles to the team. And Rasheem Green is going to be somebody who's absolutely able to do that. Again, not a wow signing. There's not really many of those left in this point of free agency anyway. But, we've been speculating on, will the Bears add some veteran to that defensive lineman? I maybe had thought they maybe wait until this point until after the draft, but no, they go ahead. Ryan Poles sees this guy. He goes out and gets a guy that. Why am I frozen? Technical difficulties with the stream, but he goes out and gets a guy, and he adds a guy who's going to be able to come into this defensive line, play multiple positions, and do his thing. We got Steve-O in the building. Let me put on my headphones. What's going on, Steve-O? How you feel about this signing, brother?
Oh shit! I ain't even know I was on, but it's a very in-depth signing. It's very versatile. He's an inside and out type of player, so you can play him in the inside or out. And that's just something that he desires. That's the type of player he wants, where he can pick and plug different type of players and put them in different type of situations. So I like it. He got over 10 sacks last year.
Yeah, no, 10 sacks. No, he only had 3.5 sacks last season.
Oh, okay.
He
So it's over the 2C.
Yeah, he has 17 sacks his whole career. He had 6.5 in 2021, 3.5 last year. So 10 sacks over the last 2 years.
Okay, that's solid, but that's still solid production. It's all about depth. That's what people I won't say that's what not people understand, but people, it's people that be like, it ain't that big of a deal. But like I said earlier in a previous live stream, like we lost a lot of depth pieces. Like most of our defense left, so you got to replace that, and you got to replace it for the scheme that we running. 1-4-3, he fits a 4-3 perfectly. So I understand the move. I like the move.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, like you said, he's going to be able to come in, play multiple positions for the team. He's going to give a lot of that, and I mean, listen, you could do a lot worse. Now, I mean, he's going to be a depth piece. The Bears, I was just saying this before you came on, they've added a lot of big bodies on that defensive line. I think that means they're probably going to go some speed
Mhm.
defensive linemen in the
Yeah.
draft, potentially, which there's a lot of there out that. But right now, the Bears defensive line shapes up to be Andrew Billings starting at defensive tackle. Him and Justin Jones probably being the starting tackles there. You got DeMarcus Walker, who's probably going to be the starting right end. Right now, still probably have Travis Gibson penciled in as the starting left defensive end, but we know we're probably going to attack that in the draft as well.
Yeah, and I'm starting to like just like the way we build it around it. Yeah, you definitely gonna look for some speed on them edges. Like, so I'm definitely looking at Tyree Wilson as one of those people. He didn't. I mean, he was always high, but I feel like he didn't slid even higher based on how he's approaching the team and how he's signing people. And it, like I said, Perry's still up there for that's always up there, but to compare, he's gonna look for some speed on them edges. That's what we need. And whenever you get some speed, that could cause havoc, and that's what we've been needing. And that's how
Yeah.
you stop games, bro. Like we said before, it was about 6 games where we was in it, and just the defense didn't hold up. And that's what we need. We just need some defensive players to hold up, and we got some nice signings so far, and can still
Now,
improve.
what do you think, if anything, this means for the young defensive lineman that we have? We still got Travis Gibson, Dominique Robinson, a rookie from last season. This signing now of Rasheem Green, do you think this pushes one of them out of? Because we still probably going to draft another defensive
Yeah,
lineman, even if it's not with the number 9 pick. We're probably going to go that with one of the picks we have in the second round. Who do you think is it may be the odd man out on that defensive line when it's all said
it's
and done?
but Dominique. I feel like this was one of those signings. It's like, hey, bro, we believe in you in a lot of ways. We think you're a talented player, but hey, here's some competition just to let you know that y'all can be replaced. Y'all not locked down or nothing. Like, that's one thing you want to understand. And even for Gibson too, like, his
Yeah.
talent, like I said, he's versatile. You can move him wherever you want. So, and that's a lot of things he likes to do. He's like the sign players where he can pick and plug whatever he wants to do. So I feel like, hey, it's a wake up call to be like, hey, we feel like you got the talent. We feel like you know what you're doing, but you're still not exactly where we want you to be at, with just one of the best players on the line. So here's another player that could possibly push you there because he's 25 years old
Only 1 year older than Dominique Robinson, and he comes in with 5 years of NFL experience, whereas Dominique has one. So
and
yeah,
probably
there's definitely some.
and probably been
Go
playing
ahead.
the position all his life, which Dominique hasn't.
That's great. And when you look at their measurables, very similar as far as measurables. Dominique Robinson, 6'5", 253 pounds. Rasheem Green comes in at 6'4", 279 pounds. So still big bruising lineman. I like what you said there. And overall, we saw the same thing with the offensive line last season.
Hmm.
Competition. Ryan Poles brought in veterans to help push that competition in training camp. Probably going to see the same thing with the defensive line here in this training camp as well. And we still got some players to add in the NFL draft. So it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes up.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be. Like I said, it's always an exciting time right now to be a Bears fan. You just I and people might think I'm crazy, but these are the type of signings I look at because it makes you understand your front office. It makes you understand the temperament they have, how they think about things and stuff like that. Just picking the best player and and the best position that you need don't always tell you the story of your GM. So I feel like, especially with the Robert Tunyon signing, like the Nate Davis signing, like he's really strategic up in here. He's really thinking. It's like he's not just doing any and old thing. He's not just grabbing any and old player. If he grabbing you, that means he been watching you. And as a key thing, I've always been known, if he grabbed you, he been watching you in person. So it's either a game
That's
we
true.
played against you. So I won't be surprised if he come out on a press conference and be like, "Yeah, I really liked him, especially when we played him in the preseason." And like, that's the type of stuff he look at.
And I think it's telling too. Like, yes, he's a depth piece, but when you look at somebody who has never been an every snap starter at all, he started some spot games here and there,
All right.
but he's been able to. He does primarily his damage. Like when you get 3.5 sacks, and all of those come in games where you don't start. That tells me something about you. That tells me what you can bring as a depth piece. And if we continue to improve that defensive line, and especially with what we have in linebackers and coverage, what we already have in our secondary,
Mm-hmm.
he can come in here and play a really solid role. Like I said, not I don't want to over state it and make it seem like he's going to be like somebody who wows us. And it may be one of those players that we look back and don't really realize the impact he's had until the end of the season when we look at the stats. But I like this as a depth signing. Definitely like
Hey,
that.
you can't be no worse than Muhammad ass. That's all I gotta say.
Listen, it's hard to be. It's hard. Me and you almost got as many sacks as he did last season. We didn't even check into a game, so
Bro,
it's kind of
that
hard.
man got no penetration at all. Pause.
That's what she said. But anything left, bro, before we go ahead and wrap this one up,
Hey,
brother?
just keep watching out. These, like I said, these the type of pieces. That's how you learn. With Ian, what's his name? Ian Clark. What's our other GM name or president? I know it's Ian. His name is Ian.
It's Ian
But
something, yeah.
Ian, this is the type of picks. I mean, type of signings that make you learn about your GM and Ian. Like it just makes you learn about them because, hey, I know the big names is what gets them fired, but it's the little names that keep us going as well.
Exactly, and everything, and sometimes it's Ian Cunningham.
Cunningham, yes.
Sometimes, yeah, it's not about making the huge acquisition. Sometimes the acquisitions that you make that do add depth is what separates you from teams because depth, as we know, it's becoming more and more valuable in the NFL. It used to be a time where it was just about the starters.
Yeah.
Now it is about depth, and if you can add quality depth and still improve the starting, which we know we need to do, right? We know we need to do that. But I like that he's laying the foundation of depth. And to me, I already talked about it today in the top 30 interviews that he's doing. When you look at the defensive linemen that he's brought in, there's a lot of quality defensive linemen that he
A lot of
them,
them, and they fit the scheme. That's the whole point.
Yeah. That's it. That's it, man. But that's it. You already know what we are. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, we got a mailbag episode tomorrow, 773-242-9336. I almost gave the Chicago Bulls voicemail. That's the voicemail, so you can get your thoughts in for the mailbag episode, man. We out this mug. Peace, y'all. Bear down.
Bear down.